Let's get right into it. A former prime minister has been sentenced to death. Now, this isn't something from a history book. It's a very recent verdict that has sent absolute shockwaves through Bangladesh and really the entire world. Today, we're going to unpack the death sentence handed down to Sheikh Hasina for crimes against humanity and try to figure out what it all means for the future of the nation.
So, you have to ask, how does a leader who served for so long end up facing the ultimate penalty? That is the central question we're tackling today, and believe me, the answer is a really complex story of protest, power, and politics.
Okay, first things first, let's just focus on the verdict itself, a decision that has absolutely stunned international observers.
So in 2025, the International Crimes Tribunal in Dhaka delivers this bombshell verdict. Sheikh Hasina was found responsible for crimes against humanity. And we're not talking about just any charge. This was literally the most severe sentence the court could possibly give.
But you know, the details surrounding this verdict are absolutely crucial. For starters, it was delivered in absentia. That means Sheikh Hasina wasn't even there for her own trial, because she's currently in exile in neighboring India. And she wasn't alone. Her former Home Minister Asaduzaman Khan Kamal got the exact same sentence.
So, how in the world did it come to this? I mean, to really get a grip on the verdict, we have to rewind the clock to the incredibly turbulent events of 2024.
It all kicked off with these student-led protests that just swept across the country in the middle of 2024. But what started as a protest movement, well, it ended in a brutal, violent crackdown by the government. And it was the sheer brutality of that response that led directly to this trial for crimes against humanity just 1 year later.
And the human cost of this crackdown was, well, it's just staggering. The United Nations estimates that over 1,400 people were killed. Think about that. This one number, this became the very foundation of the prosecution's entire case.
But who exactly is this court that handed down such a historic sentence? You know, the name can be a little misleading, so let's take a second and clarify what this tribunal actually is. Okay, so here's the most important takeaway. Despite its name, the International Crimes Tribunal is not an international court like what you'd find in The Hague. No, it's a domestic tribunal set up by the Bangladeshi government itself.
It was actually established way back in 2009, and its original job was to prosecute the horrible atrocities that happened during the 1971 Liberation War. It all operates under a law from 1973, and this is really important. Its decisions are not final. They can be appealed to the country's Supreme Court.
As you can imagine, a verdict this huge sparked some seriously divided reactions, not just inside Bangladesh, but all over the globe. Let's look at the two opposing sides here.
So, on one side, you have the United Nations. They called it a significant step for the victims, a move toward accountability. But in the same breath, they made it clear that they oppose the death penalty in all circumstances, period. And then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Sheikh Hasina's own party, the Awami League. They just completely rejected the ruling, calling it partisan, politically motivated, basically a total sham.
So, the sentence has been passed, the world is reacting, and the critical question now is, what happens next?
Well, two things are happening right away. First, there's the diplomatic move. Bangladesh's interim government has officially asked India to extradite both Sheikh Hasina and her former minister. At the same time, you have a political move. The Awami League is rallying its supporters, calling for protests all across the country to fight this decision. The stage is definitely set for a major showdown.
And all of this leaves us with the central, unresolved question that's just hanging over Bangladesh right now. Is this historic verdict a real victory for justice? Bringing accountability for the loss of over 1,000 lives? Or is it a case of political revenge, just using the courts to crush a rival? The answer to that is going to define the country's